If you are a mom with lots of people at home, you're going to have the same problem I do, which is they eat a lot. And if you're trying to cook more from scratch or just whether it's for reducing your budget and not buying so many convenience foods, which those costs add up, or you want to just eat more like real food, there's some challenges if you're trying to do that all day long and people are eating all day long. And so today I'm going to share with you my philosophy for what I cook from scratch and then the things that I use every single week as our staples that I am preparing. So let's go ahead and jump in.
Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson, and this is the new way to thrive in motherhood by leaning into who you are, what you love, your unique family situation, and personal mission to create a life that you actually want to live. I want to invite you to join me in saying no to the life of the exhausted supermom, burnout, victim thinking, being pulled in so many directions, suffering through survival mode, or being lost in motherhood, and say yes to building strong families and moving forward on our greatest goals in order to create a fulfilling life that we are excited to wake up to each day and become a soaring mother. This is the Thriving in Motherhood podcast.
Part of cooking from scratch and figuring out your meal system is part of the normalizing phase on the 5-step path from surviving to thriving. Now, this is the path that I teach and have used for years to help myself navigate myself from those really hard survival seasons to feeling like I am truly thriving and excited to wake up each day and have a life that I am really confident in enjoying. And so I want to invite you to get that checklist at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/checklist to help you identify really quickly where you are along the path from surviving to thriving and then what to do about it in the phase that you're in. When it comes to cooking from scratch, there are so many places that you can start. But for me, what I've realized is that our big pain points at home are, first of all, me having enough food to eat myself that fills me up and keeps me going so that I can keep taking care of people and the things I want to do in our house and my own projects, and my brain keeps working and I have the energy and I'm not snapping at everybody because I'm starving. But then also it's the gaps for my kids like during the day and helping them be more independent, because I might be cooking from scratch, but I don't want it to be me every single meal all day long, every day of the week. Like, that is an unreasonable expectation for myself, especially when we are homeschooling and we do like to do projects and we do like to adventures. And I love to podcast and work on things, for all of you. And there's just not a sustainable way for me to do that in a way that I feel good about. And so there's so many ideas about meal prepping and bulk cooking, like your big dinners, which is great. And there's lots of ideas about meal prepping lunches or breakfasts, but I find that meal prepping, like, we don't have enough freezer space to do meal prepping for a family of almost 7 now, and have it feel worth it to me, because you spend a couple hours in the kitchen and then it's like, okay, 2 days in and everything's gone. That was disappointing. And so what I have really done is focused my attention on a few core food items that last a long time. I feel like I get a big payout, a big bonus for the time that I spent in the kitchen, and they allow my kids to be independent and feeding themselves and kind of fill in the gaps of when someone's losing it, we've got something there for them. So the very first thing that I started with was something that we were living in graduate subsidized housing, we were living in government subsidized housing when my husband was in graduate school. And there were lots of people in grad school there. And so there were these moms that had kids that at the time just seemed so old. They would have like a first grader, and I had, a 2-year-old, and they just seemed like, they know everything. And one of these moms taught me how to make yogurt, because that is something she was so good at. And now when I started making yogurt, 11 years ago, Instapots were not a thing. And so I would spend an hour in the kitchen pouring the milk into a pot, heating it up really slowly to like 140 degrees, and then cooling it off to 120, and then putting in my yogurt starter. Well, now the beautiful thing is Instapots do that all for us. So I don't know. Actually, I do know. When my third child was born, we got an Instapot. So that was 8 years ago. We got an Instapot, and best purchase ever, because now I just pour a gallon of milk in, and you can use plant milk or you can use dairy, whatever, normal cow's milk, into the Instapot, and then It heats it up for you. We pull it out, we cool it down. It takes about 5 minutes. And then I dump in my yogurt starter, which is just the yogurt from the previous batch that I made. It sits for 7-8 hours during the day. And then I separate it into 4 big containers, whether I'm using quart mason jars or other plastic yogurt containers. And that's great. So we get 4 quarts of milk for 1 gallon. And that will last us at least a week, if not like a week and a half. So it's a pretty great return on investment. Now, some of my kids eat it for breakfast. Sometimes we use it to fill in the gaps for like an afternoon snack. If someone's hungry, they can just go and grab yogurt. They can add fruit in. I had no other sweeteners unless they're adding in a fruit. We don't put in honey or anything or vanilla. It's just plain yogurt, and they've all totally adjusted to it. The other thing that we use this for is for like sour cream, like we put it on tacos. So it's very versatile for our family. It's very simple, and it's something that, again, huge ROI. I spend 5 minutes, maybe 10, probably 10 minutes total, and get a huge return on investment. So my second item was also taught to me by this amazing woman that would, again, just invite me into her home with her 3 little kids and teach me all of her wise ways, which was granola. And so I don't actually use her granola recipe because she used like a whole stick of butter in hers. But I make a massive batch of granola. For a long time, I used just plain oatmeal, like from Aldi's in a big canister. And then I started using Azure Standards. I want to say it's like 9 grain oats. So it has tons of things in it, plus some oatmeal. And I make about a 12 cup batch every time now. So I just have a massive bowl, put about 12 cups of oats of whatever variety in, whether it's the 9 grain plus the regular one or just the regular one. And then nuts. So we'll put in almonds and pecans and walnuts and peanuts if I want to go the cheap route, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, just kind of whatever I have on hand, dump it in. And then I make a sauce that includes usually peanut butter, almond butter, honey, a little bit of coconut oil, vanilla, cinnamon, and cocoa powder if we're feeling like we want some chocolate granola in there. And my daughter and I actually tried to measure out proportions. The reality is I don't measure. I just make a lot and bake a lot. I use heavy on the nut butter, and I don't know. Anyway, at some point we will figure out the exact proportions when I'm not 9 months pregnant, waiting any day to have a baby, and we'll put all of these recipes in the Surviving to Thriving toolkit for easy access. But for right now, that's generally what I use. You can go find ingredients online. But what I love about it is we make this massive batch. I fill up multiple half-gallon mason jars full of this granola after, once it's prepared. And then my kids can eat it for breakfast. We can put it in the granola. We make banana ice cream regularly, and it really extends that. I can use it as and in pregnancy, a snack. Instead of buying granola bars, it's really great. Like I just put some soy milk and granola in, and that adds, some decent amount of protein, and it's filling. And so this granola that I make, typically, like if we haven't had it for a while, we'll plow through it pretty quick, like within a week, which is why I make it about once a week. But if we have it just out and around all the time, then it slows down, and typically 1 or 2 people are eating it during the day. It'll last for closer to 2 weeks. It's a really good ROI, very versatile for either, like I said, meals, for snacks, replaces the granola bars. Works really great for our family, and it doesn't take up tons of freezer space. I just keep it on, we go through it fast enough, I keep it on my counter. When my friend was teaching me all those years ago, and she had 3 little kids, she made a big batch, and they went through it more slowly, so she would freeze portions of it, but that is not necessary in our household of 7 people living here all the time that are getting big. My third staple that I cook every week is one that I learned when I had my second son, and I had C. diff, and my gut was totally destroyed, and we started learning how to make sourdough bread. And so this has been our family staple for 10 years now, and it is one that I have not been making at the very end of my pregnancy. So I made it during the middle, but I did not make it at the beginning, and I'm not making it at the end. But we'll get back once my postpartum season is, we've overcome it. We'll be back to making sourdough bread a couple times a week, and my older kids actually know how to make it too. But sometimes you just got to simplify. But this is a staple for us. I make a batch of sourdough bread in the Instapot and or not the Instapot in a Dutch oven. I also have a sourdough sandwich loaf that I like that we've started doing as well. And so I'll typically make 2 loaves at a time, and that'll get us through a good chunk of the week, whether it's 2 sandwich loaves or an artisan loaf. We love them for like chickpea salad sandwiches. We do grilled cheese sandwiches with them or avocado toast with them. But it's a fast, easy lunch. And what I love about it is that it's easy to get a slice of sourdough bread and add in hummus and peppers and carrots or whatever vegetables and fruits we have on hand and make a really fast, really easy meal day after day after day. So again, the way that I make it, you can be so fancy with sourdough, like insanely fancy with sourdough. But the way I do it is I don't really measure. I go based on feel and I mix it up in a bowl and it takes me 5 minutes. It's just flour, water, salt, and starter, which is, your sourdough starter, which is just flour and water. And I mix it up in a big bowl and let it sit all day or all night, and then spend 5 minutes shaping and baking it and pulling out, letting it cool. So once again, I spend 10 minutes probably total on making 2 loaves of bread, and payoff is massive because we have lunches for a week. And then if there's anything left over or we're not getting to it quickly enough for whatever reason, I rip up all the leftovers and we turn it into French toast. And there's either a breakfast or a lunch or a dinner, depending on what we want to do. And it makes the best French toast on the planet, actually. So super versatile and easy staple for us, and there's so much that you could do with it, or just add it, we just add it to soups or whatever, like whatever meal. I don't add the French toast to meals or French toast to soups. If we have sliced bread, it makes dinner go that much further. It's just really easy. And then my 4th staple from scratch thing that I do every single week is Friday night pizza. Now, I know I said I don't do meals, but hear me out here, because this is one where I do a big batch of sourdough. I use 3 cups of water as my measurement anchor, and then enough flour and starter and salt to get the right consistency from that. Again, not super helpful. One day I'll have tutorials in the Surviving to Thriving toolkit for you, but that is how I measure it. And what's really great is that makes 4 large pizzas, or we do 3 pizzas and a breadstick. And then, and this is the best part, on Saturday, I have lunch ready to go. And so why this works really great for us is because on Saturday, we're either doing projects, or we're going to Atlanta, or we're having a family adventure, and lunch is just ready to go. It's as simple as grabbing the Tupperware containers of leftover pizza from the night before, some carrots, cucumbers, apples, whatever fruits and vegetables, grapes we have in the fridge, and then we're ready to go have an adventure. And I don't have to worry about lunch on Saturday, which is amazing. So that has been an amazing rhythm for us, and it also gives me that break on the weekend after just a full week of school and working and all the things that we have going on in our home, and allows us to just have some quick, easy family fun or project time. And then the final thing that I would say, I did not say that I don't do tons of meal prepping or things like that, but when I do make dinners every night of the week, or most nights of the week, I try and make sure that at least 2, if not 3 of those, let's be reasonable, about 2 of those are something that will provide a lot of leftovers. So some of our dinners are just like quick pasta or quesadillas, or things that don't make amazing leftovers, or that I wouldn't make tons of leftovers of. But one night a week or 2 nights a week, I try and have something where we've got like a big grain, so whether it's rice or quinoa, and then a protein like lentils or beans or tofu that will go really far. And if you want to do chicken or beef or whatever, that's awesome, but that'll go really far. And so then we have glass meal prep containers that I section out portions of to go through for lunches. And so they're 3-cup glass containers with leak-proof lids. That was our requirement. And so for me, my kids don't always, sometimes they do, they want the leftovers, but a lot of times they do like having the sourdough bread and the hummus and the, those types of lunches. Or we've been burning through peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or peanut butter banana sandwiches this summer just because of the heat, and it's what sounds good when it's hot. But then for me, I can have a really good protein meal or put those elements onto a salad that's just easy and ready to go for me. And for some reason, just having it in single serving portions versus in a big Tupperware container for everybody makes all the difference, because then I don't have to think. I can just grab and go. And that has been, I mean, that's amazing when you're in survival seasons or at the end of pregnancy, but it's also just amazing just day-to-day life when you have things going on and you want to keep fueling yourself. And so that is a strategy that I do every week, is to make sure I have at least 1 or 2 meals that provide really good leftovers for me and Andrew, to make our lunches smoother. Or even right now, like, and with breastfeeding too, I'm eating like probably 4 solid meals a day, which is not what I was doing before, but you just, that's just how it goes in these stages. So to recap, as you're thinking about what foods you would make in bulk during the week, I just would encourage you to think about what fills in the gaps for our family. Like, these foods might not resonate with you guys. You might not enjoy them. You might not like them. But as you are, instead of just focusing on, okay, how can I make like a big breakfast we eat over again, or lunches that we eat over and over again, or dinners that we make, for everybody over and over again. There's different strategies for those, but that I have in the toolkit. But for me, the things that I'm going to bulk cook week after week after week are the ones that have the least amount of energy and time from me with the biggest payoff, and typically allow my kids to be very independent, to get things themselves, fill in the gaps from, meals, or have hearty snacks or just good meals from them. And they're crowd pleasers. So you're going to come up with your own list, or you can try some of mine, but I hope that it helps just spark some ideas and decrease that overwhelm, because for me, food doesn't have to be like this big burden or something that's super overwhelming most of the time. Like the majority of the time at this point in my life. Like, it's just something that we have a few systems in place of very versatile things that flow really smoothly. I will say, just as a little bonus, anytime I make pancakes or muffins or any baked goods, I always, at this point, quadruple it at least, so that we have those stashed in the freezer. So that's another really quick grab and go snack, but it's not something I do every single week. So that is another part of how I fill in the gaps with from scratch cooking for my kids to be independent with breakfast or for snacks or things like that. So let me know below what your either favorite bulk cooking snack is that you do, or item that you do. What do your family like? Or which one of these you're going to try. And I hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you next week.
Where you are planted, watch the blossoms grow.